afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you're joining from. I hope you're having a great day. Welcome to Talks at Google. I'm Shilpa Maniar, and I head the G-Tech Global Solutions team based in New York, and I also co-lead the Indus Google Network. I am thrilled to have with us today Zarna Garg, a kinetic entertainer and comedian, and a close friend of mine who I get to laugh with on and off stage. Zarna is one in a billion, an Indian immigrant mom stand-up comedian who believes brown women everywhere have a right to laugh at anything and anyone, including the sacred cows, brown men, and their mothers. She is a regular at the iconic Comedy Cellar and Caroline's on Broadway in New York City. She's performed in Vegas, the Kennedy Center, and will be touring nationwide in 2022. She is a TikTok comedy sensation with over 80 million views and 500,000 followers. She's won Kevin Hart's Lift Comics Comedy Competition, the 2021 Ladies and Laughter Newcomer Award, the Top Comedy Feature Screenplay Award, and the list goes on. Zarna performs clean, family-friendly comedy while wearing her kurta and bindi on stage and draws you into her authentic Indian world full of ironies, maternal advice, and observations of the American life. Here's a look into a little bit of Zarna and her comedy routine. Let's play the video.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Zarna Garg!
That's right, we're a billion, 1.4 billion Indians in this world. Like America has 400 million people, add a billion to that. You know how here people like to say I'm one in a million? That's so cute. We are one in a billion!
Now that's something for our next billion users. I think we have an idea. So with that, I'm going to say today, we're going to keep nothing off limits. We're going to discuss Zarna's journey, her comedic career, her career post and pre-comedy, breaking into the comedy world, what she did, what challenges she faced, matchmaking, parenting, dating, and much more. And with that, I'd like to welcome our guest of honor, Zarna Garg.
Namaste. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Google. Thank you, Shilpa. So excited to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us, Zarna. We are so honored to have you. I thought we could start. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. So excited to be here.
Yay. We are so happy. I thought before we start into your life and start talking about all of the amazing accomplishments you've had, we could start with a quick news update because, you know, we are Google after all, and we like to share information about the world. So would you like to share some of the top headlines going on in the news?
Absolutely. You know, I'm ready with the news at all times, and let's get right into it. So the Queen's Jubilee just happened. I'm sure you guys all read about it. There were 1 million Google searches. But before I can comment on the Queen, can I just say the British press, really? You keep saying Kate Middleton is at work. She's sitting there in a nice dress. Maybe she waves once in a while. This is a job? Apparently, it's harder than it looks because Meghan Markle wasn't up to it. But back to the Queen. She's constantly celebrating something. This is her big achievement, living long enough to celebrate her anniversary. And that's pretty much the only time anyone sees her. But I guess she doesn't want to take risks, right? With her health, whatever it takes to keep Charles from getting the job. I was never crazy about Charles, but the fact that he hasn't killed her yet makes me think he might be a pretty decent king. But now on to the news that Americans really care about. The Amber Heard and Johnny Depp trial. Look, there's a reason my people believe in arranged marriage. And this trial is a great example of what happens when you marry for love. He threw a bottle at her. She sliced his finger off. It's too much passion. The West has a romantic view of marriage that you're going to ride off into the sunset. But apparently, when it comes to partying, Johnny Depp doesn't wait for a sunset, and Amber Heard was willing to air all her dirty laundry. Now we know just how dirty. Honestly, in all seriousness, and I mean this, Johnny and Amber should instantly get a deal for India's top matchmakers. What better endorsement for matchmaking are you going to get than these two? I hear people in America especially say, oh, arranged marriage is so transactional. And it is. But when you let your parents choose, you might get a CEO at Google. But when you choose, you'll probably get an unemployed actor. And remember, no one is ever stuck. If an arranged marriage really doesn't work out, the man can always set the woman on fire. I'm kidding. Relax. I just wanted to see if you all were still listening. But now to the third piece of news of the day that's been on my mind, Elon Musk. Boy, does he have his head in the clouds. And I don't mean outer space. He is threatening to fire employees who don't return to the office. Elon, do you realize why your people don't want to come back to work? Because they love to see you make a fool of yourself on Twitter. But everyone else, who wants to stay home at this point? We just went through 2 years of remote work and remote school. As a mom, I can tell you, it was exhausting. And did I need my kids to find out that I don't know anything? Every time they needed help, I had to tell them, Google it. One time, my son complained that his teachers were getting mad at him because he had to show the work. So I told him, Google fake work. Speaking of fake work, this has been the news. I'm Zarna Garg, and thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Zarna. I was taking notes. That was some hot and heavy updates we got there. I know I used to Google homework if I wish it was around when I started grade school, but it's always a great way to get an assignment done quickly. So thank you for that update.
Thank you. And, listen, we can get right into it. I'm sure the matchmaking, the all of it, whatever people want to know, let's bring it, people.
We are going to talk about it all. So, we talked about some news happening in the world. We talked about some fake news happening, and we're going to now talk about some viral news. So, Zarna, you became a social media sensation during the pandemic, and we all want to know, how did it start? How did you post that first TikTok video, and what were some of the challenges and surprises along the way?
It started the way almost everything has started in the recent times in my life, but my kids ganging up on me. Uh, my son, I had just started a career in stand-up comedy, and the pandemic hit. And I thought my career was over before it really took off, because, how many times are you going to restart before people are like, you're done starting up? But my son had a different idea. He was 14 years old at the time, and he said to me, Mom, I think you should put your comedy on TikTok and see what the world thinks. And I thought he was crazy. At the time, I really thought TikTok was like 15-year-old girls twerking, the idea that everybody had. But he took some of my clips and put them on TikTok. And they are I remember the first clip that went viral. It was, I don't say I love you to my husband, which is true. I've been married for 23 years, mostly happily, mostly. Uh, but I've never said I love you. We don't do that. I'm Indian. We don't say I love you in our house.
We
We
never
feed
see
each other. No, right? Not even to people now ask me, like, not even to your kids. Like, no, not even to my kids. I feed them. That's my love. And if I really love them, I pack them stuff in real Tupperware. That's it. That's it. If I'm not putting your stuff in Dannon yogurt containers, reusable ones, you're fine. But he put the I love you bit on TikTok, and it went viral. It was like 1 million views in 2 days. But because I was so unfamiliar with TikTok, I really thought that it must be one of these places where you just get lots of views for doing anything. And I, of course, subsequently realized that that's not the case. And it's actually pretty tough to get that level of views. But the world seems fascinated with the Indian auntie situation. And what I have learned on social media is that a lot of things that we think are very Indian actually relate to people in every community, in lots of different communities. I've had friends from South America, friends from East Asia, like, China, Vietnam, all of them. Like, we don't say I love you too. So, it kind of just brought a whole world of aunties and auntyisms together under one roof.
Yeah. Oh wow. What a great way for your son to kind of take a risk and share those stories and get you encourage you to continue this, because the world needs your comedy and the world needs to laugh with you. There was an interesting thing. I was searching on Google and I searched Zarna Garg and something came up which was quite touching. It was your daughter's Stanford admission paper. And in that, she writes about a gift that she gave to you.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that gift and what that meant to you and how that's kind of got you where you are today?
Yes. So you're talking about my daughter's college essay, which was a best of 2021 New York Times college essay. She wrote about how she helped me get started in comedy. So she knew I was really struggling, trying to find something to do professionally. I'm a licensed lawyer in New York State, but going back to practicing law didn't seem like a good option because I still have kids. I have a fourth grader now. So from a lifestyle point of view, I couldn't figure out how to make that whole corporate situation work for a long time. I was really frustrated about it. And she said to me, you should just do comedy. And I thought she was crazy. Like, what? Who wants to hear what I have to say? But she then reached out to people all over the world, people who've known me since my childhood, asking them for their favorite memory of me. Um, Knowing that they're probably all going to say something about mom being funny. And then she rewrote notes about each one of those memories and what it meant to people and filled them in a big water jug. I had been pining for a water jug, like, one of these, how the fancy hotels have water jugs where you see lemon floating in it. I was like, I should get one of these for my kitchen. And I had been kind of dropping hints for a while. So she got a water jug, but she filled the whole thing with notes from friends and family about how much I had made them laugh over the years. And that became the first step into maybe I should really consider this. Of course, also because I'd been yelling at my own kids for 15 plus years about, like, try something new, try something new. They took that as a real opportunity to gang up on me and said, why aren't you trying something new?
Well, I know, and I think everyone wants to know: did you ever drink water out of the fancy mug or the
We've
jug? Or
never filled water. No, the notes are still in there. Actually, the notes have been framed. They're on the walls in my office, but we've never filled that jug because it's so special. I still have the confetti, all her handwritten things. Like, this kid went out of her way to fill inspirational stuff, and it's such a great gift because actually it costs very little money. It's
yeah,
the thought, it's the effort behind it that changed my life.
what a beautiful story. Thanks for sharing that. And talking about being South Asian, talking about coming out and taking a risk. In your later on your career, and we'll get to being a lawyer and kind of how that transition was, but coming out, you came out very strong with South Asian descent. You wear your bindi, you wear your kurta, you really identify with the South Asian culture. What does that symbolize for you? And was that an intentional decision?
Look, I am this person. Just because I moved to America and I live here didn't change that I'm an Indian woman. I was born an Indian woman. I'm going to die an Indian woman. I grew up looking at women with a bindi on their face my whole life. I'm personally most comfortable in a kurta and a pajama. That's the outfitting that I saw growing up. So when I wanted to go down this road of comedy, it became clear to me that the comedy that resonates and works is the one that is the most authentic. You have to say things you really, really deep down feel. And part of it, in my case, became my look. Like, I just didn't feel comfortable getting up on stage in a pair of jeans, or I felt like if I was representing the real Indian woman that I believe I am, then I had to look and feel that part. And it's revolutionized how I do comedy because I just get up there and I own what being Indian is about. I mean, I make jokes like, yeah, we cook with spices, that's right. And our food does smell funny to a lot of people, but you know what, we like to use this thing we have called taste buds. I own it.
And we're
I
more than curry, right? And it's kind of like an educational thing. I think in your humor, you do a lot of like educating people on kind of making fun of it, but also showing them it's more than just the spice. It's more than just the curries, right?
Absolutely, absolutely, we go all the way. We go into even like very shall we say controversial topics, gun control, abortion. I mean, we have views on everything. Indian women, we're women like every other woman in the world. I just feel like Indian women culturally have not been encouraged to voice their views as much as some other cultures, and I would really like to be part of changing that.
And do you think being South Asian helped you break into the industry, or do you think it made a difference in how you were able to get into like places like the Comedy Cellar? Just curious if that helped or if it worked against you.
No, no, it helped all the way. I mean, first of all, our own community, the Indian community in America, stepped up in such a big way to support my work. The first open mic I did, I needed 5 people to show up. I had more than 90 people show up
Amazing.
because, no one's done it. They were like, oh my God, she's going to make fun of her mother in law. We have to be there. So the Indian community
Was
has
your mother-in-law there?
luckily, no. But had she got wind of it, she would have been there. Because again, guess who's an attention whore? I'm not gonna say it. Forget I said that. But the Indian community helped me get started. But what happened is that then it started blossoming like a flower. Other communities came with their Indian friends. Then they realized, okay, you know what? We relate to what she's saying. It's the same stuff, which then took me out of the few brown shows into mainstream comedy shows, which made mainstream bookers, agents, and clubs notice, like, what is she talking about? And one door after another just started opening. Of course, I also focus very heavily on the business. Like when I'm on stage, I don't take a minute for granted. And my hit rate of jokes is very high. And you have to have that because I live in we're in New York City. It's a world capital of comedy. There's no slowing down here. So you also have to perform at that level. But uh, the Indian community has helped. Being South Asian has helped. And I use it, girl. I milk it all the way.
I love that. I think that's something always uncomfortable to embrace, like being a minority and using that as a strength. And you're just an example of how you did it so successfully and so positively. And it's
But we're a minority in America. We're not a minority in the world. And the world is our oyster. Now, as you know, look at your company. How global is Google? Google, it's like that's the best part of the world becoming as small or as big as it is. Like social media, open it up. I no longer feel like a minority. Like,
and, Yeah, no, I think that that's an interesting observation. And I think at Google too, it's often it is global, and there's obviously minority populations, but I think it's how you use that as a way to as a card that is something that can help you advance your career, or how can you actually educate other people. So I think it's definitely an opportunity to educate and inform and to figure out how it works for you.
yeah,
Minority.
and people are, the best part of being a billion plus population in the world is that everybody everywhere on earth knows an Indian person. They have an Indian doctor, they have an Indian teacher, a neighbor, a friend. So we're not that unusual in anybody's life. When I say my husband and I were the perfect Indian couple, we do math for fun, literally the entire audience erupts. Because if not me, they know somebody else, or they had a classmate or a roommate or whatever. And that's the best part of being as big of a group as we are in the world.
I love it. And I think something that we talk about a lot at Google, and I know a lot of people are very like to plan their careers out and want to have side hustles, have passions, have their real jobs. And so wanted to ask you, you shifted from being a lawyer, and obviously you're still a mom, you're very much still a mom, but what were some of the things that you considered as you pivoted from a lawyer to a comedian? And were you ever scared of failure, or how did you kind of embrace this risk and say, I'm going to do it and go in 100%?
So first of all, the transition out of lawyer wasn't so hard because I was just really bad at law. I mean, I was the worst lawyer.
Are you bad at something? Are you allowed to be bad at something?
You would not want me representing you. Just trust me. I would be the lawyer who went to a court and said to a judge, Your Honor, my client has robbed the liquor store. Just take him. You know, even the judge was like, maybe you should do something else. But I was looking I wanted to do something that fit a need that hadn't been met in the world. I wanted to do something that I felt I was good at. But as an Indian woman, creative writing, comedy is not something you think about. I kept thinking, maybe within law, I can do patent law, or maybe I can do. And it was my kids, my all American kids. It kills me to say that. Like, kill me right now. I'm saying those words because they're born and raised in America, in New York City. But my all American kids were like, Mom, why are you fighting this? You're funny. Just go be funny. And who knew that was a job? Shilpa, like, honestly, I don't think in our world people know that being funny is a paid job. Like, you get paid to stand up on stage and tell jokes, and you can make jokes about whatever you want, and you get paid for it. I certainly had no idea, and but it checked a lot of boxes for me, yeah, especially post pandemic. 2 years of being stuck at home with the kids, I realized something. I'm not that into them. So I was like, let me find a job that takes me out of the house nights and weekends. Kids aren't even allowed. And guess what? We had comedy.
You know this is going to be shared externally later. They're going to hear this news that mommy said she's not that into them.
Oh, mommy, my kids, they don't know what I do. I mean, they don't. They thought they got me started, whatever. And I was like, no, 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 I'm going to do night shift at Mount Sinai. Because I don't want them getting any ideas. This is something that comes up. It's like, oh, can your kids be comedians? No, they can't. Okay. They're all going to be engineers. I pray they get a job at a company like Google. In fact, that's why I'm here.
Wonderful. I think this is a great interview. We like to interview the parents before we hire a Googler. So this is a great starting process.
Exactly. Do you not think this would be great? You guys should add interview the parents element to your interview. I will sell my son to you. Why you should hire him.
I can't wait to hear that answer. And between us, we'll make sure that your kids we'll keep this a secret that you said you're a doctor. So for us, you will be Dr. Zarna for the rest of this one-on-one.
I do appreciate that. And you guys are Google. You can actually control the message spreading.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some engineer right now that can just kind of switch the SEO and index it as Dr. Zarna Garg. We can work something out offline.
I would appreciate that. Thank you.
And, I think you said something interesting. You get paid as a comedian. And a lot of times what you hear in industry is that it's actually difficult to get paid. And, there's so many comedians. There's, everyone likes to laugh. I think laughing and smiling is is a luxury, and it's something that just gives you so much satisfaction. And so how did you do it? And, can you really afford a living being a comedian? And what are some of the things that you've learned through the process?
So I'm glad you're asking this, because this comes up a lot, especially in our culture, where like you don't just become an artist. Like, let's be honest, right? Like in some cultures, people just do it for the art of it. They're willing to live whatever life that brings. We're much more pragmatic as a people. The answer to your question is yes, there is a professional path in comedy. And like all very competitive businesses, it comes down to your hustle, to your business acumen, to how hard it comes down to the strategies that you put in place for yourself. So you can't go out there and go open mic to open mic to open mic, which I see a lot of younger comics make that mistake. It's busy work, but it's not leading to any productive results beyond a certain point. You have to be very strategic. So I'm a 40 something mother of three. I have to use my time extremely valuably just to be able to make my life function. So I'm very methodical, and I only engage in business in shows where I know there's going to be a payoff, but I spend a lot of time preparing on my own, which doesn't require, luckily in the world that we're in today, you can do an open mic online. You can do like a lot of things that used to consume all our time in the past. We have now learned there are better ways to do those things. So I have found a lot of shortcuts, like a lot of working people today. I use every app out there. You'd be surprised how much I'm shocked at how much tech I need to know to have a comedy business. But all the tech things that are available make the comedy business efficient and worth it. Also, I put my kids to work because hashtag believe in child labor. Of course, but I think you can start it as a side hustle. uh, Wet your feet into the game, and if you like it and you feel like you're good at, you have something unique to say, you owe it to yourself to try it, I think. And in our community, I would love to remind people that you don't have to, do not give up your job at Google anytime soon, but to make it a side hustle is a real thing. I mean, a lot of us started that way. I thought I would do one open mic and that would be the end of it, but one became two, became three, and you start getting indications of where it's going. So there's just no reason not to try it.
And do you think now, leveraging, you talked about technology and like TikTok and Instagram, do you think that's another way to test your material to see, does it resonate?
100%. Yeah. I just do like an IG live. I just do an IG live and I'll be like, guys, I'm working on new jokes. Can I just try them? Give me feedback. And like 10 minutes. I Yes, it's not the live experience of the club, but people are still hearing the joke and they can tell you what they think of it.
Yeah, and people are very vocal on social media. So we know how comments and emojis and everything can go. So I think it might even be a more raw audience.
Mm-hmm.
And so, talking about, testing material, taking a step back, what's that content writing process for you? And being a comedian, you have to be very vulnerable. And so, like, what's that journey been like? What's your inspiration for your content? What does your mother-in-law think about your content? Like, can you talk to us a little bit about the preparation?
So my mother-in-law originally was like really weirded out, like, what is she doing? What is this? And she could barely speak English. Like, she speaks very little English. She lives in Noida in India, and so she was very tentative about the whole thing. But now she's like, she just WhatsApped me. She's like, I have an agent. She has an agent because she thinks I'm gonna need her in my act. I mean, now she's full on board with the whole thing. Like, my jokes have made their way through WhatsApp. Like, after TikTok got banned, people started taking my jokes and putting them on WhatsApp group chats. And like those group chats, I had no idea, but they're massive. And then on YouTube, it's like it's just going all over the place. Now she sends me, she's like, oh, hey, stop making jokes about me. Make jokes about my sister. You know what my sister's son just did? Every day I get a new joke idea from her. Um, but I'm fine with it as long as their joke ideas coming and not her coming directly. That was the one good thing. That was the one good thing about the pandemic. Am I allowed to say it? It was like so bad for everybody in the world, not so bad for me. The flights were grounded. It was great. And then that stinking vaccine had to happen. But
I can't.
but
I can't wait to see you both do a bit together, maybe at the Cellar or someday. I think she's anonymous. We never use her name, but I'm excited to get her joke either through WhatsApp.
Don't give her ideas, Shilpa. Don't give her ideas. She'll be all over it. But I joke about all the things that I think are relevant to my life as an Indian American woman. And I think what this journey has revealed is that whatever is relevant to me is relevant to everybody else in the world. It's like, or getting married. I mean, I have a 19-year-old daughter. Are they allowed to date? Are they not allowed to date? Who should they date? Do they get arranged? Do they get, do they want mom making the match? Like, the things that come up in my life become the inspiration for the jokes that I put out there, and then they resonate with the world, and then the direction it takes, I just follow that path.
And were you ever worried that one of your jokes would fail? Or when you go on stage, how do you react when maybe a joke fell flat? And then maybe there was a joke that you did or a bit you did that was surprisingly funny and got more engagement than you expected. Like, how do you deal with those two scenarios?
So I know I'm gonna fail. That's part of being a comic, because you don't really know until you get on stage and try the joke. You can do the open mics and you can test drive it, and in your mind it's funny, but until you're on that stage, you don't really know. And you're gonna fail because you're taking risks, but that's okay. And I mean, I've failed at so many things in my life. Like, if anybody is watching, know this, that if I can do this and find my way, anybody can. Because like, I failed at 100 things, and badly. And I've just kind of gotten used to it because you know what? The best part of being in a self obsessed world, like, you know how people complain about how social media has made everybody so self obsessed, people don't think beyond themselves. But it's also liberating. Nobody's really worried about me and my failures. So I just keep taking hits as I go. I'm like, who cares about whether Zarna is failing at something or not? Like, take the hit and keep going. If one thing hits, you may have a big hit on your hand. So that's what I focus on. And on social media, I'll tell you, you can never predict what's going to work. Shilpa, I've written jokes that I worked so hard on and literally no views. And then something I'll say off the cuff in my kitchen, yelling at my kids, a totally raw, honest moment, and like close my eyes, 5 million views. You can't predict. So you do the best you can and you put it out there.
I think that's difficult resilience. And I think it's honorable that I think that's an important message to share, that it's okay to fail. Have you, do you feel this pressure to be funny? Like, sometimes you fail, you said, sometimes you say these moments, and then like, there's probably times when you go out and people are like, oh, there's Zarna auntie, she's going to be so funny. And you might not be in a funny mood. Like, do you feel that pressure all the time, and how do you cope with it?
I do sometimes because people do think they're like, anywhere I go, and I live a regular life, right? Like I'm in the subway, I'm taking a bus, I'm buying groceries, and people will recognize me and be like, tell a joke, tell a joke, tell a joke. That's not how it works. I do my best to give people a funny moment. I'm not saving them for anything. Like, it's all out there. Look at how much content I just put out there for free. Again, this is a function of the last 2 years. We're all gonna die. What am I saving this for? But every once in a while, somebody will get really aggressive. I hate to say this, but sometimes Indian uncles, oh, you say you're a comic, you say you're a comedian, and what is funny? Make me laugh. They don't even say tell it. Make me laugh right now. I mean, I did Zoom shows where, like, on the chat with Indian uncles, they would open up like this, like as if they're at war with me. And then while I would be doing the jokes, the chat would be lit up. She's not funny. She's not funny. Okay, that's a little funny. Like live reviews while you're doing an art. Can you imagine?
Horrible.
But you have to take it all in your stride. I don't care. I listen. I don't care. I don't think about it. I'm on a mission, and I don't let anything stop me, and no one should let anybody stop them. Whatever you're doing, don't let anybody stop you, because I learned one thing: no one knows anything. You talk to the top comics, they have no clue. They themselves are trying to figure out their own careers. So
Yeah.
that's another message from Auntie Z. No one knows anything. Just go and do your thing. Don't care about others.
Yeah, I think that's interesting what the community's perspective on comedy and how different genders might play a role into supporting female comedians versus male comedians. So, talking about the field, are you telling your children to be comedians, or is that something that you're saying absolutely not?
No, not at all. No, not allowed. I was gonna say everybody do everything except my kids. My kids my kids will go to medical school or engineering school or comp sci, which, like, my daughter is in college, and that was an awakening. What a scam colleges are running in America. Did you know that the parents don't get to decide what the kid's gonna do in college? I was shocked. I really thought I will call the college and I will tell them, give her 2 classes in comp sci. Done.
Well, I think my dad must have done that, because I was an engineer, and I think it was like, you can only go to engineering school. And so that was what I did. I don't think I had much say, unless, he was going to pay for it. So I did what was told. So.
Listen, you need to highlight this and let's send it to my kids. I like that.
Got it. And then we'll get him a job at Google. This all works out, right?
Look at how beautifully did we make it work out.
Yeah, so seamlessly. And so, talking about your kids, talking about school and majors and masters, and part of your comedy bit, you always talk about dating. And that's something that I resonate with, because, being an American born, they see you're Indian. Arranged marriage is something that is like far from us. We go for love marriages. And so, I know people want to know, I want to know, what's your dating advice in the American culture or American society?
I mean, listen to your parents. People, look at what marrying for love has given us in this country. It has gotten out of control, out of control. I feel like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard were sent to support the Indian moms, because after them, I was like, okay, go marry for love. Look what that has done. This has been good. I mean, some people can marry for love. I'm not against it. Like Mackenzie Bezos, marry for love. Fine, you do your thing. Mindy Kaling, go marry for love. You made your career. You get a prenup, Mindy. Get a prenup, but marry for love. Fine. Most people, listen to your parents, listen to your older brothers and sisters, siblings, uncles and aunts, because we kind of know what works and what doesn't work. We really do. We made our mistakes, learn from us. Like, and keep it simple. Like doctors, lawyers, engineers, number one. Artists, go back to school. It's not too late to take the CPA exam still. um, I okay, not to be facetious for a minute, being serious, I think, listen, find a friend, find somebody find somebody you can talk to. Everything else seems to go away. I've been married 24 years. Find somebody you can talk to, whose family you can mostly tolerate. Mostly, I'm still working on it. Um, and that's a start, that's a place to start. But I do think that the apps today make it unnecessarily complicated. Are you on the dating, like Shilpa, what do you do? What do you do, and what's the big roadblock in your dating life?
Oh my God, I wasn't expecting you to ask me a question like that.
Well, let's go for it.
And I'm also not that I'm not good at making people laugh as easily as you are. But I think there's a saturation almost of just so many dating apps, and it
Yeah.
requires so much engagement. So I think for me, there's two roadblocks. I think it's over connected. There's just so many different pings and chats and things coming my way that I actually don't know what to do with it. And then the second thing is like there's so many different types of apps. You're like, which one works? Do I need to try this one? Do I need to try that one? How many swipes do I need to do? And how many meetings do I need to have before I find the one in it? And then we know it might not even work, right? So like there's a lot of I think there's a lot of uncontrollable variables that I think I'm not so comfortable with, versus like we're always taught in life, you get a degree, you work, you like kind of, it's very sequential and it's very controlled. And so I think for me that uncontrollable variables is like the biggest roadblock.
Well, I think you put your finger right on it. It's just become overly complicated, I think. I mean, so for reference, this may be interesting to your audience. I met my husband online 25 years ago, but not the way people meet online today. Like, nobody said, you up? Nobody asked, like, do you have passions or hobbies? What hobbies? Like, if he has a job, there should be no hobbies. It was pretty straightforward. Even though we met online, it was very like, he asked me, can you cook? I asked him, can you bring your tax returns? He asked me, can you bring some dowry? I asked him, what about Bed Bath and Beyond coupons? And we kept it simple, because we were just trying to meet and get started on making a life. I do think there's a
Those
lot,
Bed
like,
Bath and
even.
Beyond coupons though are hard to find. They only let you use them once. So I think that was a good sell.
And I used them for my dowry with him. I was like, I have 10, my friend. And not expired, because the desi aunties, we even hold on to the expired ones and try to reuse them.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I do that. I do that all the time.
I mean, we treat the expiration date as if it's optional. But it
Should
is
be.
more complicated now, right? Back then, it was like male or female. You know what I mean? Today, like, I know somebody recently asked me, was talking about something, and they were like, they said to me, I'm bi curious. I was like, what did you buy? I'm curious. I didn't even know what they were talking about. So it's much more complicated. But I think the closer you stay to the basics, like, if I was giving my daughter advice, even though I'm not, because I'm going to arrange her, I would say to her, my kids, I'm going to arrange for sure. Um, But I think,
I'm interested to hear their perspective on that.
oh, they have no perspective. Like, ask me their perspective. I'll tell you. They will get arranged. And I will find a nice match. I will go to a big matchmaking company and find a nice match. But I think if you will make a list of your top three things that you want in your partner, whatever those top three things are for, and be practical. Okay, don't be like he has to be funny. No one cares. Like, have a job should be number one in my opinion, but like, okay, have a job, be educated, whatever your top three are. If you can get top three, everything else should be like, you can make other things work. That's my real advice. If you get
I
good top three elements, you can make other things work.
And then the optional is the dowry, the Bed Bath Beyond coupons, the rich, the private plane, and all the other stuff that goes with that, right?
I mean, yeah, I don't, please, like, I met somebody nice. Like, please don't do that. Nice, no one needs nice. We need rich. Just get to it, you know? Um, I'm of course kidding. I'm being facetious a little bit. Um, but I do think that limiting, as you said, so many variables, limiting the variables will improve the odds.
I love that. I think that we can all, for all those folks looking for a partner, I think that's something that we can all try. Maybe add a little humor. It was funny coming from a comedian saying that, humor is something that is good to have, but I think it's essential. And I think, laughter is what kept everyone alive during the pandemic. And you were so critical to that. I wanted to talk a little bit about, what you did during the pandemic, because I think it was so noble. The world was New York City was in trauma, and you sat up by a tree and you would do comedy and you would perform bits for the community. How did you do that? What inspired you to want to do that for the community?
I didn't know what else to do. Like, you were here, I was here. It was so helpless. There was a feeling of helplessness, and the news was so daunting. We were the epicenter of the epicenter. My God, I thought we were all gonna die. And I kept thinking, what can I do to alleviate the stress from this situation? So comedy became a, I did it as a test run. I did one show under a tree on the Upper East Side, and I thought, okay, maybe 5 people will come, and literally 100 people showed up. 100 people, and we just stood there, and I kept telling jokes. Then I invited my other comedian friends to come, and they told jokes. It was we didn't There was no money, there was no ticketing. People donated money. Then the community came out. Restaurants started sending water and food and drinks, because I think everybody wanted to feel like we were part of something, but no one knew how to do it. So me standing under a tree became a starting point of, like, maybe this becomes the headquarters of the Desis trying to survive New York. And then, of course, it went far beyond just the Desi community. It went into every community. Whoever was around and wanted to feel like they were part of something stopped by.
Yeah. And I think personally, I think that's something that I think is so amazing about your work, is that it just doesn't resonate to the Indian community or to this minority community. I've come to see your shows at Comedy Cellar, and it's a very diverse audience. Everyone's laughing and everyone connects to it. And I think that's what's so special about the work that you do. And thank you again for during the pandemic. I think without folks like you, I think the world would be in a different mental health state. So thank you for bringing a little laughter during rough times, and now during a little bit more lighter times.
I appreciate that. And I thank the medical community for making enough drugs to keep me going. So I could get up there and be under that tree.
Yeah, they did. They took a tough role. So I wanted to open it to audience questions. So let's see if there's anybody in the audience that wants to ask Auntie Z a question. Wonderful. Yeah. So Jennifer wants to know, do you have a favorite pre-show ritual? Like anything you do to hype yourself up to get there on stage?
Yes. So this is a common mistake that women make, and I've made. I used to treat every show like it was a little dinner party. If I had one friend coming to watch, it's like, oh my God, did you get a seat? Like, did you do this? Did you let me get you a drink? It's a very female tendency, right? Like, we want to be hospitable, and the club feels like a little private event going on. Now I have to take a step back and be like, I need to focus on my act. I need to focus on what new material I'm going to try, what new joke, the energy of the room. So I now have become that person who sits in the corner and reads. I've learned from the greats, the comedy greats. A lot of them I get to see, I'm lucky enough to see at the Cellar or at other clubs in New York. They don't say a word before they get on stage because they're preserving all that energy. You need so much positive energy to go on stage and push it all out, that I've learned now that I sit quietly in the back, I have my notebook and my pen, and even if I'm not writing jokes or notes, even just the act of doodling and being calm and having a warm cup of I always have a warm cup of water with me. It seems to be like a soothing mechanism. So my cup of water, my pen, my paper. But it is a mistake that women make, especially in the entertainment business, where we start treating everything as if it's our own private event and not focus on the job that we're supposed to do and why we're there. And I made that mistake for a while.
And so, before you go on stage, is there something you say to yourself to pump you up? Is that the power pose that you do to just give you that energy, or you just kind of stay silent, you read your script and then prepare?
You know what? Honestly, I feel like I remind myself that I'm doing this for a reason. Like Indian women don't usually laugh at their men and their mother-in-laws and all. And I can't. We need to be part of this new world. This humor needs to happen. So sometimes when I'm anxious, like really big show, Kennedy Center, 2,500 people. I remember having a moment of like, being nervous. The nerves get you. And then I had to say to myself, I have to do this. If I can't do it, 10 other women behind me can't do it. There's a lot of power in knowing that you are leading a charge somewhere. Like sometimes that they empower you, the people that are looking up to you. And so I try to draw energy from them, because you do get anxious. I mean, there are many high stakes shows where I'm like stressed out of my mind. I feel like I'm with the biggest names in the business. What am I even doing there? But I have to hype myself up and be like, no, I belong here. That's why I'm here.
And how are you doing it, like, with kids? Because I know sometimes your kids are great, right? I don't have them, but I know, like, I've heard they're great,
They're
and
not that great.
they
They're
can
not
take
that great, and they're very expensive.
and they take a lot of energy as well. And so when you do go on stage and you're saying, I'm trying to protect the energy, how do you wipe off energy that maybe your kids took, or maybe you're having a bad day and you're like, but I still need to go on stage? How do you wipe that off?
No, I think, look, I waited. So I waited a long time to get back to work. I was a stay at home mom for 16 years because I couldn't figure out how to do it. I couldn't. It really is a real legitimate challenge. I don't advise that wait to anybody. I think if you can find a way to co-mingle the worlds, do it. But I couldn't. And now that I'm doing this, I'm all in and I'm fully committed to this. And I have the blessings and the support of my kids and my husband. So they understand that if do I have to sleep during the day, I have to sleep during the day. They're all old enough to handle the basics, just keeping themselves safe. And now they help me the way I helped them for so many years. So I draw from them. This is another thing, especially moms need to learn to ask for what they need and to say that I need help too. We can't all be superwomen doing it ourselves. Like, I know in America, you raise your kids, then they raise their kids. No, there's not much of an obligation to help your parents the way there is in India. But I actually am a voice against that. I think that the kids should step in and help if they can. And even if that help is very basic, in that they understand that their mom, especially, is trying to do something, and that has its own requirements.
Yeah.
So you'll find me napping for 2 hours any given day on a weekday before a big night, because I need that energy recharge. If I'm going to do 5 shows a night at the Cellar, I need as much energy as I possibly can get. And they all understand it now.
It's so great to see how well and supported you are. And they're allowing you to make your dreams come true, and you continue to stay passionate, and you didn't let 16 years of being a mother, which is also a full-time job, inhibit you from doing this now, and it's so beautiful. I wanted
Well,
to.
it's
There's
beautiful only for a short time. Don't get excited because as soon as I become very famous, I'm trading my husband up. That's what the real Hollywood people do. So I'm doing it too.
you know what? Why not? Right? Just make sure you get that prenup in.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No. Yeah.
Mindy Kaling, watch out. Wanted to make sure we got a couple more audience questions in. Do we want to queue up the next question? Janine wants to know, you look beautiful. Thanks for being here. How do I get my Indian in-laws to love me, even though I know they won't say it?
Janine, I can help you, girl. I can help you. The Indian in laws, the requirements are very simple. First, you welcome them into your house, even though you might not want to, and believe me, I've been there. But you make them feel welcome. You give them a TV with all the Indian TV shows, they'll be fine, they'll be out of your hair. Learn to cook one or two things. Don't go crazy. Don't go crazy. Learn to cook one or two things that they feel you tried, and basically in front of them act like that they act like their son is god in front of them. It's all acting. I'm not saying do it for real life, but in front of them act like, oh my god, pandemic has ended, guess who did it? Your son. It doesn't have to be real. Just make them believe that you believe it, and then the moment will come and go and they will love you. They love anybody who treats their son like gold. So little bit of acting, little. That's the solution.
You heard it. Tips from Auntie Z. I think that's the secret recipe, right? Make them feel like their son is the king or the prince of the house. I think there was another question from the audience. Wonderful. Oh, that was a great question, Manisha. Who is your favorite comic and why? I'm curious about this as well.
Okay, so I would say, I mean, big picture, Kevin Hart, my favorite, because he not only does the comedy, he not only embodies the whole hustle vibe. He has now created businesses all around, and it's so, a lot of his work is so family friendly. Like the movies he makes, he has brought, that's what I'm about. I want to bring parents and kids together laughing. So he became a role model of sorts, and also he, in some crazy way, helped me get started. He put me on his show first before anybody even knew who I. When I had 5,000 followers on Instagram, his team had sensed that I may have something. Um, so I love what he's done. I love how many different ways he's able to create fun things around the comedy. And he's the model. But other than that, like there are so many comedic geniuses. It's unending. Seinfeld, Ray Romano, Ellen DeGeneres. You watch her comedy special. Oh my God, it's unending. I can watch a special every night and not stop for a long time.
And with Kevin Hart, this is interesting because I mean, we all watch his comedy. He's hilarious. But how did they find you at 5,000? Because I think that's something interesting. Is at 5,000 followers, was it something that you reached out to his team, or their team
No,
actually found you?
they found me, and that's the brilliance of the company that he's built. I'm telling you, it's the cutting edge comedy company right now in the world because his people in LA knew what was happening in the streets of New York. Do you know how crazy that is?
That's
I
insane.
even I asked them. I was like, "How did we find you?" And they were like, "At the time when he found me, I was not a regular at any club in New York. No club wanted me."
Is there a club now? Now that Kevin Hart gave you, I think it was your talent, but he was able to see that. Is there a place that you still want to perform at, or there's a comedy club that you're like, one day I'll be there, or do you feel like Comedy Cellar is iconic enough? You feel like you're at a place where you feel content?
Well, I'm at home at Comedy Cellar. They've given me a home for my comedy. You can't top that. But the venues will get bigger. Of course, I want to do bigger venues and also as an example that us women can do that. That we too can have an arena. We too can have big theaters. I mean, half the audience is women. We
Yeah.
need to think bigger. We also need to be playing bigger, thinking bigger. When I look at the audiences that come out for, say, for Joe Coy or Gabriel Iglesias,
Ali
more than
Wong.
half the audience, Ali Wong, more than half the audience is women. So we as women performers have the right to think big and to aspire to those bigger rooms. And I think I'm gonna make myself get there one way or another.
Well, we're here, we're watching. I think everyone's going to want to know, where can they see you next? You said Comedy Cellar for those in New York. We'll share your TikTok handles and Instagram so everyone around the world can experience it. But what's next for you?
So I'm touring all over America this year. I'm going to be in New Jersey, in Connecticut, I'm going to Aruba for the first time. I'm going to, I have a whole touring schedule on my website. Um, I have a couple of projects dropping that I'm not allowed to say out publicly yet, but a few projects that I've worked with other creators that are coming in the fall and early next year. Uh, I have a movie that's in development and a TV series that I'm working to package and develop. So we have a lot, and this is all in addition. Oh, I'm filming my 1 hour special in September in New York City.
How exciting. Well, if you need a laugh track, if you need an audience, you have a ton of Googlers that are ready to laugh with you. So you let us know, the details will be there.
I would love to have you all.
I think there's one more question from the audience. We can try to cue that up.
Okay.
Pooja. Zarna, I'm Indian and just had a kid. Should I let my kid date at school age?
No.
What is school age? Is school age like under 12, or is it 12 or 14? Like what is
it
the
doesn't
date?
even it doesn't even matter. Do not let them date. No. That is a whole big problem waiting to happen. I just posted an Instagram reel about this. No one needs to date anybody. Focus on your schoolwork, and when the time is right, Pooja, you find somebody good for your kid. Okay? You teach them at the top. Don't know dating, because they don't let them get ideas that at a certain age they can, because keep that tight.
Is there, so there for you it's like 25, 24, whatever age, till you find the man, you're like, no dating. Is that the rule?
Exactly. Don't
You're
just tell me just let me know when you're ready, and I will go find the date. Before you get married, one date, I will make it happen.
Got it. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give you my logins to all my dating apps and let you swipe and then make me think you arranged it. Are you signing up for it?
Do you not think that would be liberating, Shilpa? Be honest. Do you not think that would be liberating? I will take the charge of, look at you. You're so beautiful. I will make it happen. I'll be like, okay, no, you're out. Anybody who works at a smaller company, like, no, you're out. Yahoo, you're out. No.
Thank you for this very kind PSA. I wasn't asking for it, but I will kindly take it. And I will hold you accountable to being my matchmaker. We have a couple minutes left. I thought it would be fun, and I know that a few folks had also asked on social to ask you a few rapid fire round questions. So I wanted to end with this. And so the way it'll work is I'll give you 2 words. You tell me what's your favorite or what's your preferred. Okay. Are you down? Perfect.
Down.
TikTok or Instagram?
Oh my God, these are both my babies. You can't do this. TikTok for the discovery, Instagram for the business.
TikTok for the discovery, Instagram for the business.
Yeah, because people find me on TikTok. I don't know what it is about that platform. They find me on TikTok.
I love it. And I'm sure you probably don't remember Google Plus, but that used to be something that we used to have as a social platform. Arranged marriage or love marriage?
Oh, arranged for my kids. Arranged for the kids. I myself met my husband my own way, but not everybody is as, sharp as me. So arranged, I will arrange, and everybody listen to your parents, let them arrange.
Bollywood or Hollywood?
Whoever hires me first.
Chai or coffee?
Okay, like I don't know who came up with this question, because this sounds like Fiji water or dishwater. Like, chai, hello, Indian lady.
Chai with masala, of course.
Masala chai, ginger all the way, baby.
Same. America or India? I think you have a preference, right? Or no?
I'm here now. I don't think India wants this outspoken auntie situation. So America it is.
Children or pets?
Oh, neither. In hindsight, neither. Both are a lot of work and very expensive. And the millennials got it right. They're like, not kids for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an older millennial, but I think the younger millennials definitely figured out the secret sauce.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
they laugh at me. When I say I have 3 kids in the clubs, they all start laughing. I can see the pity in their eyes.
No, I think that it's it's just such a generational thing. I think people are interested in different things, and social media is such a like a time commitment. And I think the focus is on, there's so much tech and there's so much information, there's so much going on in the world. I think that having 3 kids just allows people to be less selfish. And I think what you did was very selfless in your life. The last thing, and I know we're at time, but would you rather laugh with people or laugh at people?
Oh, I don't care. Both pay my bills. It's all good. Laugh. Hashtag just laugh. With, at, however you get there, just laugh. Don't waste a moment. Laugh.
Well, thank you so much, Zarna, for being with us. This was such a beautiful conversation. I can't wait for everybody to watch you and actually watch your sketches and your bits and your sets and laugh with you. Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. Namaste.